So here's a little look at the top of the range aluminium Anthem for 2017. This is the Anthem 1. Same amount of travel as all the Anthems, 120 on the front, 110 on the back. That's up 10mm from last year on the back and up 20 from last year on the front. Boost again, boost spacing, so 110 at the front, 148 at the rear. You have to make sure your manufacturer is actually taking advantage of the boost spacing by giving you wider flanges on the hubs. Some of them aren't, some of them are just using the cheaper wheel sets from the last couple of years and putting spacers on the end caps. As I mentioned in the last video, I've gone into a lot more depth about boost spacing and the triangulation of the wheels, and just because it says it's boost, it doesn't mean you're going to get a stiffer wheel. It all depends on the width of the flanges and if they've taken the advantage of the extra spacing. So this is obviously a full XT bike. You're getting the XT brakes on there as well, with the one below this being an SLX, although I have to say the new SLX chain set does look nicer than the XT. The new SLX looks really premium. Nice shock on there again. Slight upgrade in the float from the Anthem 2. Exactly the same frame, same one-piece carbon rocker, same gummy welds. It looks like I've done it. It's a shame they can't hide those welds a bit more, but you know, they probably haven't smoothed them for strength. Keep them there as a bit more strength. Massive cassette on the back, I think it's a 46. Shifts really nicely for XT. Not quite as crisp as the SRAM 1 but still really nice. Interesting thing to notice here though is that this bike, it's got a KMC chain on it, which is a cheaper choice than the Anthem 2. The Anthem 2 I just looked at, borrowed from the shop, had a Shimano chain on it, which is going to run a lot nicer than this one. The KMC chains really don't like being on the angle that you get from a 1 Massively stiff single chainring there with the triangulation to give it the width. That's just to give it the kind of lateral stiffness when the chain's being pulled side to side from the massive range of gearing on the back. Same dropper as the Anthem 2, slight upgrade in the finishing kit, so you got a nicer seat. You got the Contact SL seat, Contact SL bar and stem, much lighter, a bit nicer than the standard Contact on the other stuff. Really nice Fox 34 with a Fit 4 damper in there as well, so it's really smooth, very adjustable. Stanchions feel a bit smoother than the Fox Rhythm, which is on the Anthem 2. These are more on par with a Yari or a Pike, which I think the other bike should probably be nicer to have a RockShox Yari on the other bike, the Anthem 2, but I've got another video of that, much more in-depth video of that one. The main thing that jumps out with this bike, apart from obviously the XT, is the carbon wheel set, which makes this bike very expensive. It's, I think, somewhere in the region of 3,299, I think. I might be wrong, I need to check on that. But what a lot of bike manufacturers don't go into, and they don't publicise or use for marketing purposes, which I think they should do, is how important unsprung weight is on a suspension bike, or anything with a suspension, whether it be a race car or a bike with, you know, long travel forks and rear suspension. So the first thing when you pick this bike up, you notice how light the front end is, particularly the wheel set. And the lighter the wheel set, the less kind of like inertia or reluctance there is when transferring a bump input into the suspension. And that's why unsprung weight is important. So the lighter the unsprung weight or the wheel set, the more responsive essentially the shocks are going to be, because you're going to get less natural damping from inertial. They call it inertial damping. So if you've got a really heavy wheel that hits a bump, it's reluctant to move upwards through the travel, and that's what I call inertial damping or reluctance. So the lighter your wheels and tyres, those bits are unsprung. Also, you know, hubs and cassette all add to that weight. The more quickly the wheel will move up through the travel, makes the bike feel a bit more supple because it's got less inertial damping. And that's what you're paying for on this bike. Although you've got the XT upgrade, you're paying for the carbon wheel set, which is really nice and very light. So anyway, more in-depth review about, you know, the new Anthem frame, see my vid on the Anthem 2. But yeah, nice one.